Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Michele Burklund. I'm the Chief Science Officer here at Puriya. And this is our Living Well series where we interview amazing people in natural health. And today we have best-selling author, natural food chef, nutrition health coach, Liana WernerGray with us. So thank you very much, Liana, for joining us today.
Hi. It's pronounced Liana.
Liana. I never was going to ask you. Liana.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I will give everyone a little bit of your background too. And you can feel free to add in because it's small and I know you've done a lot, so we're going to get into the questions too. Liana.
That's it. Yep.
WernerGray is a sought-after speaker and advocate for natural healing using a healthy diet and lifestyle. After healing herself of many negative health conditions, including a precancerous tumor, digestive issues, and disorderly eating through embracing a natural lifestyle, WernerGray began lecturing and teaching about the Earth diet internationally. She's the author of the new cookbook, Cancer Free with Food, which offers a comprehensive guide to healing through food. Through her company and book, The Earth Diet, your complete guide to living using Earth's natural ingredients, Liana has helped thousands of people improve and in some cases entirely heal conditions like cancer, diabetes, addictions, depression, acne, heart disease, obesity, and more. Very amazing.
Awesome. Oh, thank you.
So to kind of give people your background, you have a really amazing story about how you had this wake-up call and the idea behind the Earth Diet and the precancerous tumor that kind of started this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, well, I grew up in Outback, Australia. And so from a very young age, I had a nutrition education because at school, half the kids were white and half kids were Aboriginal. So we had a very Indigenous rich culture and education. So we were taught how the Aboriginal people lived. And it was fascinating because they lived off the land and they sourced their food from the earth. And they believed that they would take from the earth to feed themselves and nourish themselves and then give back to the earth. So they're always taking care of the earth in this very sustainable, healthy way. And I remember just like admiring them, thinking, oh, wow, they look so healthy, they're so lean. And the cancer rate is 0% in the Indigenous community. So, oh, okay. So someone just said my head is a bit cut off. Oh, okay. Oh, thanks, Helen, for that.
Of course, Helen.
There we go. I just moved back a bit.
Thank you, Helen.
Thanks for that, Helen. Shout out to Helen Gray. Yay! And Helen actually did all the nutrition facts in the book as well. So for all the recipes, it has a breakdown of nutrition facts. Not just calories, fats, carbs, and protein, but vitamin C levels, vitamin E, vitamin D. Like, this is awesome. If someone has cancer and they're like, okay, I need recipes rich in vitamin C, you can see all the ones in there that have that. So that was awesome.
I love that.
Yeah. So okay. So I had that nutrition training from the from a very young age. Then when I was 18, I moved to Brisbane City, and I basically just all that went out the window. I started to indulge in a very fast-paced lifestyle and eating fast foods and junk foods, and I ended up binge eating on junk foods every single day for 5 years. And I knew it was wrong because these foods had no nutritional value whatsoever. You know, gummy bears for breakfast, pizza for lunch, McDonald's for dinner, like that kind of diet. And so
very intense.
Yeah, very intense. So I knew it wasn't sustainable, and I was like, this is like dangerous. Just filling my body with dead matter. I started to notice my health decline. So I tried to stop it, but I told myself I'll start again tomorrow. I'll start again Monday. And I was just so addicted to it, like chemically. My body had changed that it just craved that sugar and that sugar high, and so I wasn't able to break it. And then after 5 years of eating like that, I ended up in hospital with a golf ball size lump in my neck. So the doctors did a biopsy and results came back. I actually got 3 diagnoses. One was stage 0, one was stage 1, and one was precancerous. So, you know, now people... now doctors are like, okay, well, that's a form of lymphoma. You know, the diagnosis for cancer can be super confusing also these days because doctors still, they don't always know, you know. They'll just be like, okay, you know, you have lung cancer, you have this, you have that. And so there's a fine line with being diagnosed also, which is what I learned. So very
Diagnosis is the hardest part always too. It
yeah,
can be
yeah.
tricky.
And then I was given, you know, I was given an option to take a cervical cancer vaccination, and I was like, why do I need that if I have this? You know, what's the connection? It was just such a, that was my first experience with the medical industry. And that's when I knew something was up and something was wrong with the medical industry. So I was like, okay, I've got early stages of cancer. I am a mess because all I want to do is eat junk food. And, you know, what can I do to change my life, because all I want to do is go and eat junk food now that I feel terrible. And that's the first time I fully surrendered, and I did a prayer, and I was like, okay, universe, I need help, and I need to be shown how to be healthy now, like living in the city and in this modern world, and what do I do with these cravings? So a few days later, I had an idea that completely changed my entire life, and that was the idea to start the Earth Diet blog and eat only foods from the earth for 365 days. So that's what I did. And I just focused on everything that came straight from the earth that actually had nutrition. So every time I had a craving, I thought, okay, how can I fulfill this craving for chocolate peanut butter cups, ice cream, chicken nuggets, burgers? And so I just replaced all of my cravings for all of these homemade recipes that I was making. And my father's a chef. I felt very confident in the kitchen. So I was making all these recipes, and I was like, what? I can actually eat this chocolate peanut butter cup and it's healthy for me? I was like mind blown. I was so excited. So I did that, as well as juicing 6 times a day. And then I also did coffee enemas, colonics, and some other natural treatments. And in 3 months, the golf ball sized tumor had completely dissolved, completely gone. And I've been cancer
Very impressive.
for 10 years. This is my 10th year.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea too. I mean, you did a blog, so you were accountable to the world every day, checking in. What did you take pictures of your food, or did you write down all the ingredients?
I did. Yeah, I took photos of the food, and then I also wrote down the recipe sometimes, and the ingredients. I was like, okay, I'm making chicken nuggets, and so I'm just gonna coat it in egg and some turmeric and some almond flour. Back then, my recipes were like, okay, just get some chicken breasts, put it in egg, and then dip it in almond flour, turmeric, and salt. Like, I had no measurements or anything. I was just like, just go
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. So yeah, and every day I studied something different. So I studied about dairy, I studied about water, I studied about colonics, I studied about the effect that skincare products have on our immune system. I studied the effects of household products, what they have on our health. So I just like study.
So is this kind of how, did you expect yourself to go into the natural health world, or it kind of seems like it was an accident in a way, and then you found your passion through all of this?
Yeah, I feel like it was an accident because I was in film and television, and that was my biggest passion at the time. And then, you know, I started going with the blog, and I started feeling better and getting healthy. And then when I was fully healed and transformed and no longer craving junk foods, I was like, I did not know this was possible, and I felt so alive and so grateful that I just wanted to share these recipes and these health concepts and this natural life with the world. So I was like, oh, that took over, and that was my biggest passion. I was like, okay, now how can I turn this into, you know, getting paid as well, so I can continue to do it. So I started working at a health food store and making juices and smoothies for people. I started selling my chocolate balls at the farmer's market.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, I just made it work.
So then tell me, I'm interested so from your blog came the Earth Diet. So how did that come about? How did that transition into this amazing book? It's based on all these recipes, or was that kind of the inspiration and then you took it to another level? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so after the blog, because I told my blog readers, like, I'll do it for a year. And then I would just post it on Facebook to my friends and be like, well, here's my blog, you can read it or not. And, you know, it turns out a lot of people were secretly also addicted to junk food and sugar, but weren't telling anyone. So a lot of people started reading my blog and sharing it with friends that they knew were struggling with healthy eating. And so at the end of the year, the readers were like, can you put all of this into a book? And can you make all the recipes into a book? And I thought, actually, that's a great idea. So that's what I did after the blog. I wrote the Earth Diet book and I self-published it. This was before I really knew about, you know, having a publisher or an agent.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know about the book publishing world at all. So I just put it together, and I wanted to put it on recycled paper to keep in the earth-friendly theme. So the book cost me like $16.50 to print, one book. And I did it locally in Long Island, and I just put it on my website, and yeah, so then all of my Facebook friends and stuff started buying it, and it did really well, and it was so busy, and I was like, oh my god, I have no time to do this, because at the time I was like writing, I would get the books, sign them, and then write the envelopes and go to the post office and ship them out myself.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. And then after a while I was like, I literally have no time for this. Like, how can I keep up with it? And then I was like, that's where a publisher comes into play. So that's when I reached out to Hay House, and Hay House was such a good fit because, you know, it's mind, body, spirit, and it's about healing using supernatural ways with food and prayer and meditation and soul. So it was such a good fit. And so then Hay House they republished the Earth Diet. So the Earth Diet, as we know it today, is, you know, republished by them. And
Mm-hmm.
the self-published book you can't get anymore, but it's an art piece in some people's homes. So that's awesome.
Exactly. It's the original. It's the original one. So
Yeah.
valuable in that. Very cool. I know. I think Helen and I both met you together in Colorado, in Denver for the first time through Hay House.
Yes. Oh, at the
think
IQ
so.
event.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Either there or Seattle. I combined the two, but I think it was there.
Yeah.
So very cool. We love Hay House.
I remember meeting you in Seattle as well at the Northwest Women's event.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I haven't been back to Seattle in a while now.
Love
I miss it. I miss it. Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, and I just talked to Dr. Paul Anderson like a month ago, who did Cancer Outside the Box too, and so it's a perfect combination. We love Hay House writers here too at Hay House.
Yeah, good. Word.
I have a great question for you. So you're passionate about eating food straight from nature, and what are some easy ways to do this, like to get to help motivate our viewers? Because even like me as a doctor, I think that people love the idea, but it's always hard for them to integrate it into their daily lives. And I think you've kind of mastered that and mastered teaching that to people too.
Yes, I mean, I've just repeated this teaching over and over and over again. And I work every Wednesday and Thursday in New York City at a medical health center. It's called Complete Wellness. And this is the main thing that I have to talk to patients about, because, you know, it's like we live such busy lifestyles, and sometimes our lives are like on this cycle of autopilot. So sometimes it's hard to like incorporate new things, like as the wheel is spinning, it's like pull something in, okay, now it's in, until it becomes a habit and part of the lifestyle. So one first major thing is, I always ask patients, what is your number one biggest obstacle when it comes to food? Is it bread, cheese, dairy, chocolate, cakes, cookies, gummy bears? Like, what is it? Pizza? What is your biggest like obstacle when you just feel like you have a weakness of like, oh, I just want to eat that, and you know it's not right, like you intuitively feel like this isn't right? What is that food? And then I say, okay, let's look at how we can upgrade that. So the upgrade system is like, let's say for example, let's say for me it was chocolate, right? So chocolate was my number one biggest craving. So that was the first thing I wanted to replace, because I was eating the wrong kind of chocolate that had soy lecithin as a preservative or emulsifier. It had dairy, it had white sugar, And so that's when chocolate is not good for us. So I was like, okay, I still want to eat chocolate, but I'm going to use the real cacao powder, mix it with some almond flour, some honey, some vanilla, some sea salt, maybe some organic peanut butter, organic almond butter, or organic sunflower seed butter, sun butter. And so I just started, like every time I had that chocolate craving, I would eat those instead. And that gave me so much boost and momentum because that bad processed chocolate was bringing me down. So making that switch helped boost my immune system so much. I was losing so much excess weight from eating that kind of real chocolate every day. And so it's very empowering to replace our biggest obstacle, maybe one that's been controlling us for a long time, because for those 5 years, chocolate was controlling me. I wasn't in control of it, you know? And so now it's like if I have a craving for chocolate, I'm like, okay, let me go buy some organic chocolate or make my own. So a person can do that with everything. There's an upgrade for everything: cheese and burgers and pizza, ice cream, like everything. So I love finding out what people's biggest obstacles are. And if anyone who's watching feels like they have one and they're not sure, let me know in the comments, so I can write you back and be like, try this, try that. Because there's literally like 10 different options for you with whatever obstacle you have. So we're never stuck. And that's the most important thing, is to remember, like, we're never stuck in that. So that would be the first thing. And the second thing I would recommend would be for everyone to start incorporating chlorophyll into their diet. So chlorophyll is an extract from green plants like kale, spinach, chlorella, spirulina, broccoli sprouts, broccoli. Anything green has chlorophyll. And when we consume chlorophyll every single day, it's basically like a natural blood transfusion. It replaces our blood so quickly and so powerfully. It's amazing. And so drinking that in water or adding it to a smoothie is super, super powerful. And I mean, you can just drink a fresh green juice or a smoothie, but if you don't have time for that, everyone has time for some chlorophyll droppers. Just take some drops, add it into water, or take the chlorophyll supplements. Everyone has time for that, and this should be a daily thing. And it helps to cleanse the blood cells. It helps to detox the body as well. Keeps the immune system strong. Yeah, I've done it every single day for 10 years. And I would say, like,
Oh, wow, nice.
I would say
Nice.
that's the most powerful health hack that we have available to us on the planet.
Very nice. And so with you too, it seems like you travel all the time. I always see you in a different place, in a different state or a different country. So how do you keep up staying healthy and your routine, most likely, like when you're traveling? I mean, for me, I feel like I've been traveling for a long time here and there. And every time I get to a new place, I'm like, oh no, how am I going to do this? So I feel like you are definitely a master at that too.
Yeah, well, my philosophy is like, make it work no matter what. So, so when I'm traveling, I always take the chlorophyll with me, or I take a greens powder that has like chlorella, spirulina, wheatgrass, barley grass, and like broccoli sprouts, and I'll just mix that in water. So no matter where I am in the world, if I can't get a fresh juice or smoothie, I always have the powder or the chlorophyll drops with me. The chlorophyll drops are a little tricky because when you're traveling, you don't want them to spill on your luggage because it's
Right.
clean. So the powder is usually safer. So that's like a necessity, like travel, like always traveling with that. And then I always travel with a ginger tea bag as well. So that way when I'm on the plane, when they're coming around with drinks, they don't have organic tea or coffee or anything yet on the planes yet. So I just ask them for hot water, and then I add my ginger tea bag. And that helps just to keep the inflammation down and keep the circulation going in the body. So those little health hacks help a lot. And then I also carry lots of snacks like chocolate.
That's smart. Smart.
Yeah. So I have like my organic, like, or huge chocolate bars or chocolate covered almonds with me, and I take some organic turkey stick. I'm a meat eater, so personally that works for me. So I take snacks with me so that I'm not starving, because it's when we get starving is usually when we go and grab the non-healthy things. So yeah, so I'm flying out to North Carolina tonight, so I have packed some organic chocolate snacks for the plane and some ginger tea bags.
I think that's perfect. And ginger helps with nausea too. I think that's great for two different ways, helping during traveling.
Yeah, for sure. They should have ginger tea bags on the planes. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Someday soon.
someday everyone would be happy, more relaxed, not feeling sick. Yeah.
Exactly. So tell me, this is a perfect time to talk about your other book, 10-minute recipes.
Yeah.
And what are some favorite recipes in your book too? If you can choose a couple from there.
Yeah. So, well, the 10-minute recipe book was after the Earth Diet when I actually emailed out to all my subscribers. I was like, okay, I'm going to write a next book. You know, what do you guys want to see? What kind of book do you want? And the response I got back was mostly from people was like, I need quick recipes. So the idea was like, okay, let me see all my quickest recipes and put them together. So legit 10 minutes. It's awesome. So one of my favorites in that book is the cashew ice cream bites with chocolate sauce. So yeah, so all you need is a blender for this, and oh my gosh, if you love ice cream, this is a must-try recipe. So you just blend in, like, a Vitamix is the best because it whips these
Definitely.
cashews. But you whip up some cashews, coconut oil, and I use refined coconut oil so it doesn't smell or taste like coconut, but gives an amazing consistency. Lemon, maple syrup, some sea salt, and that's it. And then whip that up. That makes a cashew ice cream. And then next whip up chocolate sauce, which is cacao powder, maple syrup, coconut oil, and put it on top, and it's just like,
It sounds amazing. It sounds like decadent and healthy at the same time.
yeah, super
And fast.
rich and fast. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So tell us more about, and I haven't read it yet. I really want to, your newest book, Cancer Free with Food.
Yay, there it is. Yeah, so this book came from, I was thinking about my third book, and I was thinking what I was really passionate about, and I really want to help people with cancer, and that's what my soul is most passionate about doing, even though it's not always fun and it's controversial, but it's, I just definitely feel called to help people know, like, okay, if you eat this way, you increase your chances of getting cancer. And if you eat this way, you decrease your chances of getting cancer. And then also helping people who just say they get diagnosed with cancer today and they're like, okay, what do I eat? Because unfortunately these days, oncologists and doctors, they're saying to their cancer patients, oh, don't worry about your diet. You need caffeine if you're going through chemo. You need caffeine for your brain. So go have a Coke or a latte from Starbucks. Like, what? This is crazy. So, and they spent 4 hours of nutrition training. Most of these medical doctors, unless they're functional medicine doctors, then they're obviously have nutrition training. But, I spent 10 years on this subject and researching it, and I pulled a lot of science studies on which foods have been proven to kill cancer cells and which foods have been proven to cause cancer. So I think it's an education that that we all need to be aware of, if we want to live happy, healthy, cancer-free lives. So super passionate about this book.
So how is it structured exactly? Does it go through each food, or does it go by cancer type? Kind of tell me a little bit inside, just a hint of how you structured it.
So basically, the first part of it is all of like the science studies and the research and the concept. And then the second part is all recipes. But the first part is I get into the top 15 foods on Earth that have been proven to kill cancer cells in multiple studies. And some of these foods have been studied for decades. And then I go into the top 15 most toxic foods. So foods that have actually been proven to cause cancer. A lot of it's common sense. Like, obviously, we know that if we eat white sugar enough, sugar feeds cancer, and we open ourselves up to a higher risk of getting cancer. But I wanted to find all the studies on it especially for people who like reading science studies and stuff like that. So I mean, there's like 26 end notes here in the back of all of the science studies and the research done for that. And then it just gives a basic guide of like, just cut out these foods, incorporate these foods, and then you reduce your chances of getting cancer, and you increase your chances of healing cancer if you have cancer.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's no question. There's no question that when you get a cancer diagnosis, or even before, of course, like food is medicine, and it should just be part of your daily routine and place importance. But I think that even saying the basics, like, take out sugar, take out this, I think it can help people profoundly, because some people still don't know that, or some people just have separated it so much and had busy lives, and then they get stuck, and then they put their health on the back burner, and then later on it comes full force. So what I think you're doing is amazing, and giving those people recipes too. My biggest disconnect is I love eating healthy, but the cooking and the recipe part is that's where I go blank. And so I think it's great that you gave all these amazing recipes to the creative part of putting it all together.
Yeah, and I try and make it super simple and easy, because food is simple and it's easy, and food is best in its natural state, just as it is. Just take an avocado and eat that. So I try to make it simple and not intimidating for people. And I love seeing people who have been diagnosed with cancer post photos of the recipes they're making from the book. And they're saying on social media, I'm not as intimidated to make food anymore. I feel empowered. Now I know what recipes to make. So that's super great to see that.
Yeah, very cool. So right now you're seeing patients twice a week, and then the rest of the week you're educating people on eating healthy, different ways to cook, and traveling the world doing it. I think that's great.
Yeah, yep, that's the lifestyle so far. So yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. Do you have any future books being published, Tim? It seems like
Yeah, I'm gonna let this one roll for a while and just keep promoting it and keep pushing it out, because I really feel like my mission is not done until I start to see like cancer statistics lower. And right now it's 1 in 2 men are getting diagnosed and 1 in 3 women, and that's just unacceptable. Like, that's in America, those stats. And it doesn't need to be like that. I don't want I just don't, like, I lost 2 grandfathers to cancer. My mom is a breast cancer survivor, and it's just like, to see more people suffer with cancer, and to see cancer kind of as a plague kind of take over our society is just not right. It's not right. So, and we have a lot of power and control in our hands. So I'm just going to keep rolling with this Cancer Free with Food book. And
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And education. I mean, education can go on forever too. I think education is empowerment. And so very cool. Well, thank you. And do you have anything else to add to, do you want to say anything to our viewers right now? Anything extra?
Just one more thing I want to add that comes to mind is that Dr. Mark Hyman wrote the foreword for this book. He's a great functional medicine doctor. He gets it.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was in oncology school, he asked the professor, what is the percentage of diet related to getting cancer? And he was quite surprised by what the oncologist professor said. He said 70% of all cancer is caused from diet. So if that's the case, we really do have a lot of control in our hands to change what we put in our mouth, in our home, and to help change the food industry too. Because in the last 10 years of me doing this work, I've seen the food industry change immensely, and it's going to continue to change as we vote with our dollar and stop buying the toxic foods, start buying the good foods. And then if 70% is caused from diet, what's the other 30%? Well, it's said to be stress. Stress
is huge, yeah,
on the immune system. So we need to look at reducing stress. And also there's some great studies that I read about people who have faith or a strong spiritual practice. They have less of a risk of getting cancer and less deaths of cancer than people who have no faith. And they live longer lives as well. So that definitely helps. And then also genetics plays in that 30%. But with genetics, it runs in my family to get cancer, and we can trigger those genetics or not. Obviously, I triggered them with me eating so much toxic food. But if we start to focus on foods that are super healing like this, then we don't trigger those genetic parts of us that can expose the cancer. So yeah, I just want to leave you guys with that. And thank you so much for having me, Michelle. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for fitting us in your busy schedule too. And I'm glad we got to talk more about your new book too. I think it's amazing, and continue educating and continue doing that. And hopefully I'll run into you in the world again somewhere at some point soon.
Yes, hopefully we will. Totally. All right. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.